The story of Paranormal?
Yeah.
Wow, I haven't told this story in a long time.
Good.
Do you want the longer? You want me to try
Long.
and long? You want the
Sure.
long?
I want to
version?
hear everything. I like details.
You like detail? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'll give you detail. Well, like I said, I left an executive job in 2000, and I produced a bunch of independent movies. And it's another story, but I got what I thought I always wanted, which was a first look at a studio. I had a golf cart. I had fancy offices. The dream had come true. In fact, I learned, and we don't have offices on a lot anymore either. And it's the last thing that I wanted, but I had to get it to learn that I didn't want it.
Yes.
And I was working at Paramount, and Gail Berman and Brad Gray, who's no longer with us, had kind of made my deal. And then the administration there inherited my deal. And they were like, why are you paying this guy so much money? And this guy's never produced a movie before that anyone's ever seen. And this is stupid. So I couldn't get anything done at Paramount.
Yeah.
I was lucky enough to be paired. They were spending a lot of overhead. They were trying to, it was just a mess, and it was very frustrating. Anyway, there was a younger producer named Steven Schneider who they put me with, who was a horror expert. I was not a horror expert. I have certainly become one, but I was not like Quentin or Eli Roth or like growing up with horror. I grew up with Halloween and being very weird and having a lot in common with fans of horror, but I wasn't like a horror nut movie nut
What
myself.
were the movies that you watched as a kid? Like what were your favorite movies?
I love Hitchcock movies, but I love Academy movies. I loved art house movies.
Yeah.
Bigger art house movies. I love Spielberg movies, I love bigger commercial movies. So anyway, I'm sitting at Paramount, very frustrated. This guy, Steven Schneider, who's a horror expert and kind of an academic, he had written books about horror, and he's introducing me to horror, and I'm interested in it, kind of. And we get a DVD of Paranormal Activity as a directing sample, and we got it from CAA, but CAA
Finished film.
Film.
Wow.
I had nothing to do with the finished film.
Great.
Yeah, even my favorite way to produce a movie is when the movie's already finished.
How great is that?
It's the best ever.
There's no fantasy involved.
Nothing. It's
right there.
It's right there.
That's
it's right
the
there.
best.
It's right there. So I got this. You don't know any of the story? You don't,
No.
I mean, no.
No,
Okay.
no. I don't know any of this.
Okay. So I got the movie finished, and the person at CAA wasn't representing the movie because they didn't believe in the movie, but there was someone at CAA, a guy named Brian Kavanaugh Jones, who's no longer there, and he was like, this movie's kind of cool. I'm going to try and like sell it or do something with it. And we got it, the pretense with which it was sent to us as a directing sample. So like, here's the movie. This movie's coming out already, but do you want to make this guy's next movie? And I saw the movie and I was like, this movie is like really good and really commercial. What are you doing with it? They were negotiating a deal with IFC to sell it for like $100,000 or $150,000 for a direct-to-video, at the time, a direct-to-DVD movie before streaming. And I, 10 years before that, had the wherewithal to pass on the Blair Witch Project. And that was a big mistake.
Yeah.
And it was ingrained. I really learned from, like you do, you learn from your mistakes. And I was like, if that ever happens to me again, if the gods ever happen, I'm not going to fuck this up a second time.
Yeah.
And it did. 10 years later, I got like what I thought. And the first thing I thought when I saw the movie is Blair Witch.
Wow.
Everyone thinks it's nothing.
Yeah.
It's made for nothing.
Yeah.
And it's a joke. And
Yeah.
it could be something
Yes.
amazing. Could be.
Yes.
I didn't know for a fact.
You
but
never
I thought
know.
You never know.
You never know.
You never know, but you have a hunch.
Yeah. You felt it.
I felt a
You
hunch.
felt it enough to want to pursue it, which
Exactly.
that's the key.
Exactly. So I felt it enough to say, I want to meet the writer-director guy's name, Oren Peli. He was a video game designer, and that's how kind of
That's
why he
interesting.
was able to make the movie work, is he did a lot of stuff from video game. If you think about it, it has a lot of kind of DNA of a video game. Anyway, I meet Oren at my old house in the hills in West Hollywood on a Sunday, and I said to him, I told him the Blair Witch story, and I said, I've seen your movie, and I don't want it to happen again, and I think it could be a big theatrical hit, and I'm willing to only get paid. I remember I said, if you make, he had $150,000, I think, or $150,000. I said, I don't want to get paid unless you make over $400,000. But if you make over $400,000, I get X piece forever.
Yeah.
And I'm going to try and, he said, well, everyone's seen it. Everyone's passed on it. It's just, the ship has sailed. I said, you never know.
Yeah, and you got nothing to lose.
I got nothing to lose. Yeah, you have, well, here was one, you always have to be lucky too, right? So one thing I was so lucky is he wasn't a kid. Had he been 22, he would have said, I made the movie for 15 grand. I got $150,000. I'm taking my money. But luckily, he was also in his mid 30s. He was making six figures already. So it wasn't going to change his life forever. So he had the liberty to say, okay, I'll cancel this deal and give this weird Blum guy a shot. So I was very lucky about that.
Yeah.
So we did an agreement, and I said, when I was an executive, I did acquisition. So I bought and sold finished films. So this was a muscle that I was very used to using. Mm-hmm. And I'd been out on my own for about 4 or 5 years as a producer, no longer an acquisitions executive. I was very careful with the relationships that I had. I went all around the world with a group of people who did this very weird job. They bought movies for film companies, and we all knew each other. There were 20 of us. I'm sure it's still the same today.
Yeah.
Maybe there are a few more. But it's the same idea. It's a weird job in our ecosystem. And anyway, it had been years since I'd seen these people. And I called them individually up. And I said, guys, I think I have the next Blair Witch. This is Paranormal Activity. Oh, we already saw it. I said, guys, we all saw Blair Witch too. I had the DVD of Blair Witch before VHS of Blair Witch before Sunday. I watched it on VHS. We all passed. Like, I couldn't just spend $20,000 or $30,000 on a test screen. If it would happen today, I would have sent a test screening, and I couldn't. So I was actually just saying, why don't you guys just test it? Like, spend 20, 30 grand, test it. I couldn't get anyone to do that. So I thought of festival. So we applied to Sundance. They turned it down. So then we applied to Slamdance, and they accepted the movie, which is never as good because everyone knows when you're in Slamdance, you've been turned down by Sundance, but it was some platform, right? Yeah. Then I had Ann Thompson and John Horn. Ann Thompson for Variety or Hollywood Reporter, and John Horn wrote an amazing LA Times piece. He loved the movie, and she loved the movie, and they got the movie.
Nice.
And I got a big piece of press, 2 big pieces of press, like really substantial. And I called all the acquisition people again. I said, I know you guys have the DVD. I know you guys, or the VHS. DVD. I know you guys have seen it. Come to the screening. Look what John Horn wrote. And it was a Sunday, pictures, like big. Yes. Look what Ann Thompson wrote. Come to this screening. And they all said they would come, and then they didn't really. They sent their the most junior person, and Slamdance ends. And I'll remember this for the rest of my life, I'm sure, because it's been 20 years already. And I'm sitting at lunch with Oren, and I'm kind of like, well, I mean, I guess, you're going to take this IFC deal. I got no choice except there's one last Hail Mary, which I don't think I'd even really told him before because I was so sure I wasn't going to do this. Paramount was treating me like shit, but I was guilty because they were paying me so much money. And this was at the time when Paramount owned DreamWorks. Mm-hmm. So I thought, if I can't get anything done with Paramount, I'm going to try and get something done with DreamWorks, because I'm the kind of person, and I'm sure you're the same, when I get money from a big company, I want everyone to make money, right?
Absolutely.
That's how you become successful.
Absolutely.
So when someone invested, it was $5 million over 3 years. I'm like, I was so dead set on, probably in an unhealthy way, making that money back for them.
Yeah.
And I'm like, if they're not going to take my calls, I'm going to make DreamWorks make this money.
Yeah.
So there was an executive at DreamWorks, one named Ashley Brooks and another named Adam Goodman, and they saw Paranormal Activity right around this time, right before the festival, whatever. They said, look, the movie's kind of weird, but we'll remake the movie. And I said, I had 2 thoughts here. This was one of the smartest things I've probably done in my career. I said to them, I need at least $250 for Oren, because I need it to make more sense. I knew that idea of a remake would drive him insane, but I said, give me $250 so he gets more money. And I wrote this in the contract. I said, before you remake it, you need to test screen the film. And I framed it to them to say, you guys are the geniuses.
Yeah.
I don't know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Test screen Paranormal Activity only so we can decide what to keep and what to throw out when we remake the film, right? Only to decide what we keep and throw out. And I haven't told the story. It's so long. Great. It's really actually fun to tell.
Yeah.
And I said, have your writer there, your writer, so that we decide. And then now I'm back to Oren at the end of Slamdance. I said, look, this is the only thing I have. But I said, Oren, I had the insight of having watched the movie a bunch of times with crowds. Now I'm much more confident the movie's going to work. I said to Oren, if we get a decision maker in a room with a random audience, there's no way they're going to remake the movie. It's the dumbest idea in the world. You don't remake the found footage movie with movie stars. Like, it's so dumb. I said, but we're going to have to pretend that we want to remake it. We're going to sign this deal. Worst case scenario, the movie, you're going to get $250,000. The movie's going to come out anyway, tiny anyway. So what do you care? But I said, I promise, and I was just lucky also that he took the leap of faith with me again. And I said, I promise you, if we get into this movie theater, they're going to put the movie on 3,000 screens. I said, I promise. And he agreed. And we signed that deal with DreamWorks. And right around this time, Spielberg saw the movie.
So he felt you were in what it was you were telling him what you really felt, and he felt, yeah, he believed in the movie too. You were saying, I believe in the movie.
And he believed in the movie too.
He believed in the movie. He's like, we have to play this game because these people don't understand.
Yeah.
But let's show them.
Let's show them. And Owen and I had a lot of disagreements over the years, but I'm obviously fond of it. This movie started my whole company, started my career, everything. I owe everything that I have to this movie and to Oren. So we have a test in Burbank. It's like 2 or 3 months later. It's like in the spring because Sundance is in January. It's March, April, like this time of year. 300 people, Adam Goodman, Stacy Snyder, Ashley, some writer-directors to work on the sequel, right? And we sit down, and it's the first blind recruit. I've seen the movie with an audience, but never a blind recruit. So it's just blind people who like horror movies.
How many people are in the room, would you say?
250, 300. 299, I think, 299.
So crowded theater.
Every seat full.
Great.
Yeah, every seat full.
Great.
Every seat full. And we screen the movie. I'm sitting next to Oren, and people go fucking berserk. Like it's amazing. And the movie ends, and we walk down to talk to the executives. The word remake is never uttered. It's never uttered again, but it's never uttered. Yeah. And Stacy Snyder, and again to this day I'll remember, is pitching what the TV spots for the wide release are going to be for the movie. Like it's amazing.
Amazing.